I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you guys for coming tonight. I really had hoped there'd be more people here, but basically we're here just to answer questions about this Proposition 1. I'm sure by now everybody's heard about it, what it's going to allow us to do if it passes. We all feel that it's vital for the future success of our community. The plan has always been to put the Belle PD back together, and this is a key piece to that. So basically we're just here to answer questions. If anybody's got any questions or concerns about how this is gonna work, once it passes. And so, has anybody got any questions? You guys got questions or concerns?
Yeah, I have a question on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we vote to, for you guys to appoint the marshal, then what happens with names on the ballot that are running for marshal?
Basically, that will become null and void. If Proposition 1 passes,
Okay.
that position would become null and void.
Well, I just wonder if people know that.
I don't know. We tried to put the information out there. I mean, I would hope they would know that.
So it would be in effect to, that way to vote this election,
I've got
Tuesday.
a little question, I guess. In other words, so someone could actually vote for a marshal and vote for Proposition 1. And
Right.
Proposition 1 is what, a majority or?
Majority, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so when Proposition 1 passes, basically the marshal position becomes null and void.
So actually, somebody could vote for both.
Could, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, I could see doing that if you had 3 or 4 names on the ballot,
Right.
I could see doing that.
Right.
But, yeah, that's kind of how that would go, so. I brought tonight, I brought this 5-year operating plan to reestablish. I didn't have that the last time, but I think the papers had a copy of it. It's ran in the paper a couple times. It's just the framework of what it looks like for us to put the PD back together. I mean, it's a rough framework. I'll leave it at that because I came up with this and
And it can be adjusted.
yeah, and it can be adjusted. I mean, the council's they're all in on this idea but this plan can be amended as we need to, so we're not locked into just what's on this paper, so.
So if you elect a marshal, then they go ahead and become marshal, but you're still putting this plan into place?
We will, it's gonna take,
And are we still with Marys County then?
yeah, we'll be, okay, so, right now, we're with Marys County until next February. And then the way this plan works, which if you take time to read it anyway, the way this works, we'll hire a deputy, or we'll hire an officer, they'll phase 1 out. So the following year, when we recontract with them, we'll have an officer and they'll have the 3 or whatever, however many they assign down. And then the following year, we'll hire another officer and get them outfitted, get them trained up. They'll phase another one out. So it's gonna be in gradual increments.
We've just been negotiating once a year, doing
Yeah.
a 1-year contract with
Yeah,
Marys County.
so,
Okay, now,
Doesn't it, okay, bring the Belle Police back, doesn't that tax have to pass?
that's a funding portion. But that's nothing we're concerned with right at the moment. That's the first,
Well, I don't know how you're gonna bring the Belle Police back back if you don't know where the money's gonna come from.
Well, we've got the money, I mean, and we've got the money there.
Okay.
We don't have all the money, but we have the money, but
Okay.
yeah, that tax is down the road, that's not even on the scope right now.
When is the, first time that, tax would appear on the ballot? The following April
It's still gotta clear through the
or
state.
November?
That, to allow, the bill that would allow us to even put that on the ballot hasn't cleared the state yet.
I realize that,
I just-
but
yeah.
so you really don't know when it could be put on the
No,
ballot?
no, and that's why all these dates are tentative.
Okay.
That's, yeah, it's gotta pass through, I think it's tied up in the Senate right now.
And if it doesn't pass the Senate, what happens?
We don't need to do it.
We don't get to do
Well, we
it?
can reappropriate it again.
Yeah, we can, I mean, we can,
Well,
I'm sure
you
Representative
referenced-
Sassman will re-sponsor, sponsor a new bill, and
Okay.
we'll try it again, but,
You referenced in your newspaper article that would be similar to what the city of Vienna does as far as
Mhm.
having a part of the sales tax to help fund the police
yeah.
department.
Yeah, like I said, that's not even, since it has, the bill to allow us to even put that in front of the people hasn't passed yet,
Right.
that's not even on our scope yet. But as far as hiring somebody, we've got the money to get one guy, might be able to scratch together the money to get two guys and all the equipment and that. But then we are gonna need that tax to pass eventually, so, if that's 2 years, 4 years out, it's what it's gonna have to be.
That's nothing new that other towns haven't done.
Right.
Small towns are.
That's kinda what Gasconade County's trying for, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're trying for a law enforcement tax.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
No, they only got 4 deputies, what, for the whole county, I think.
I honestly, I don't
Well,
know.
that's all they got.
That's a big county too.
Yeah.
It's a big county, it is a big county. But-
Question.
Yes,
Okay, in your, meeting that, what, last week or whenever it was, I think, watching it on the video, it was stated in there that the, appointment of the chief of police was becoming the norm in Missouri. Do you have any statistics on that?
I don't have it in front of me, I didn't come prepared with those numbers, unfortunately.
A real good guess is over 90%. I mean, I am guessing, but I know the number of elected marshals anymore is very, very minimal.
Yeah.
What about the, requirements? Does the, ordinance now state that the marshal has to be a resident of the town?
It does, yeah.
Okay, what about appointed person? How's that gonna work?
An appointed chief of police would be just the same as a hired employee, so they wouldn't have to live inside the city limits. I would hope that they would, but
Yeah.
yeah, they wouldn't have to. And honestly, I said before, well, my ideal candidate for that job would be somebody who is kind of towards the middle or end of their career from a different, from a completely different area. So I'm not gonna be able to convince anybody from Kansas City to move down here and live inside the city limits, but I might be able to talk them into coming down here and buying 40 acres where they can hunt and fish
Yeah.
and,
Well, that was my reason.
yeah, so, I mean, unfortunately, it's just,
There's a lot of similarities between a marshal and a chief of police. It's just there's a little more flexibility for the people to have someone that is actually an operating worker. Another qualifications is they must be post certified. You can't carry a gun if you're not post certified.
yeah.
That's an incorrect statement. Anybody can carry a gun now.
Well,
What you're talking about is a police officer.
yeah.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but the way you phrased it was an incorrect
Well,
statement.
I would need to not be post certified and carry my gun as a policeman because.
Right, so yeah, under color of law, that would be,
Yeah.
Over in Indiana, they do a little bit different. The chief of police is elected in Indiana.
Right,
Because that's the first place I've ever seen that happen. They are.
yeah. Yeah, the elected marshal position is really, it's going the way of the Buffalo. I mean, it's all over the state. I've read numerous articles from the past 5 to 6, 7 years.
There's just very few of them.
Yeah,
Wasn't it Lebanon that just switched to that deal
Yeah.
recently?
I believe it was Lebanon, there's several municipalities in northern Missouri that have changed in the last decade or so.
Always goes on verge.
And a lot of it too is the accountability. I mean, I know we've talked about that before, but it's being able to hold them accountable for the things that they do. So marshals in the past have, you know, used equipment for personal use. We all know the stories. You can't do anything with them. Short of impeachment, which is a long, drawn out, ugly process, and quite frankly, nobody wins when you do that, so that's something that gives them more accountability to the Board of Aldermen in the fact that if, you know, if you catch them doing that, that gives grounds for reprimand, termination, or what have you.
It also allows better control of your town by not, I'm not trying to say anything, but, when you've got a marshal that's drawing almost a $37,000 salary and is not even in town to attend to matters when they should be, are out working at any time. I believe it also says you're supposed to be available 24/7. I know it's not feasible for someone to do that because we do have to have sleep certain times, but you should be available if you're called on. And you should do the proper paperwork that needs to be done on a monthly basis.
Well, the city ordinance requires a marshal to provide 40 hours worth of work per week. That's what our ordinance requires. I'm totally agree with that.
Yeah.
What I don't like is there's only 20 hours worth of protection in this city, and it's been that way for a long time. That's not right, especially the kind of money's being paid out. I mean, we're paying twice for the same thing already. And with this tax, you're talking about paying 3 times for the same thing. Yes, we are. And I'm not against the sales tax. I think it's a great idea personally, I really do. But I think that maybe we ought to look at incorporating it a little bit bigger than rather than just inside the city. I think maybe we ought to look at incorporating the marshal's position like the Belle Fire Department did, a district. That way, he's responsible to the entire district, and it's not the city people that's responsible for the operational cost of that city. Because right now, we're paying a whole lot more than what we paid the last marshal.
Isn't that the job of the county mounties?
County mounties?
Yeah, the sheriff's department.
That's exactly right, we're paying that tax too.
How are you gonna cover 4 or 5 counties?
You ain't talking about 4 or 5 counties, unless it's how big the Belle district is.
You're gonna go into other police force
Well, I know you are.
areas.
We got 5 right here in this town as it is. Oh, you don't know that, do you?
What we call a mutual aid with these other surrounding counties, it's worked really well with us.
It should have. Absolutely. Mutual aid is the way to go. But when it comes right down to it, we have Osage County Sheriff's Department in the town. We have Berries County Sheriff's Department in the town.
I live in Osage County, I'm in Belle.
Yeah, I'm talking about in Belle. We have Osage County Sheriff's Department responsible in Belle. We have Berries County Sheriff's Department responsible in Belle. We have 2 different troops of the State Highway Patrol responsible in Belle, plus our own marshal's office. That's 5.
How much miles does Marys County cover, isn't it 400 and something miles?
Yeah, it's much.
And very little of Osage County, just that side.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, it's still part of Osage County, and the deputies from up there can come down here. That's part of the mutual aid agreement here.
Well, if you can get, Sheriff Bonham convinced to send a deputy over here, that'd be great.
Well, he did have 2 deputies.
Promise you, you're
living
not,
in his
it's
town.
not, I can almost 100% guarantee you're not gonna get Sheriff Bonham to send a deputy over here.
Well, I'm not saying that.
To work even 10 hours a week. Because the area of Osage County that's in the city limits is about, 7,000 square feet.
Yeah.
We are low on their list of priorities.
Well,
Look at
I'm
Chamois,
sure
look
we
at
are, but
Lynn.
we got two out of them in Osage County.
Mhm.
Two of us boards
Because that's our
from
board
Osage County.
For Belle, Missouri. We are still in
Exactly.
the city limits of Belle.
Exactly. And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And mayor.
Yeah.
And the mayor?
He lives in
Oh, okay, I don't care about that, you know?
I just,
That's
what,
fine with me.
the point I'm getting at is that we are low, Belle, the city of Belle is low on their list of priorities. And since the predominant part of our town is in Marys County, that's who has always came over and protected us.
Well, I would
They were,
hope
we
so,
reached out to
because
them.
we're the largest city in the county,
Yeah,
and we even doubled in size in 10 years.
yeah, yeah.
You
So-
know, there should have been a sheriff's substation here decades ago.
There was 4 at one time,
Really?
4 filling stations at one time.
No, a substation for the sheriff's department.
Oh, substation?
Yeah, for the sheriff's department, should have been here all along, and it should have been hand in hand with the marshal's office, like it was for a while before the marshal left. Well, kind of.
Yeah, I'm not gonna debate the past. I mean, I would agree that something should have been done decades ago.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, I ain't denying
You
that.
know, we're standing here in 2022, talking about things that happened in 1992, we can't fix that, so we
No,
just have to move on with
We
it.
also have to stay within our budget.
absolutely.
So,
And that's the reason why I'm all for the sales tax thing, but I think we ought to look at expanding into a marshal's district that incorporates the same district as the Belle Fire Department.
yeah, that's digging into a whole pile of legalities that I
I know,
don't.
I know it is.
Legalities
I'm just throwing that out as an option to look at.
It probably is a viable option.
I mean, that's all.
But how would you tax people outside the city limits to help pay the budget for that police department?
Well, it
You
wouldn't,
can't.
it wouldn't be the Belle Police Department, it'd be the district department.
Yeah.
You
That
know,
might,
like
I
the
mean, that
county
might be.
police operation.
Now, there's nothing like that in the state, I don't think. I don't know how you can fund it, and make it legal.
Yeah, that's just
How
like-
do they sponsor and make it legal for the Belle, Fire Protection District to become in deal? Huh? I mean, the city used to have to.
Because they're not law enforcement.
It doesn't matter,
Yes, it
it's like the sheriff, the county sheriff's department. It could still be done if the people want to do it.
Well,
That's all I'm saying, it's an option to look at, that's all.
It is not, you're right, it's an
a
option.
highway patrolman is not a federal officer, he cannot go on federal property. A game warden, Missouri Conservationist game warden is a federal agent, he can go on federal property. That's a real good example about, if you got somebody hired as a municipality police officer, they can go on mutual aid, but they really don't have jurisdiction out of the city limits.
I understand what you're saying, but they have jurisdiction through mutual aid. I mean, that's an agreement. You know,
I've seen,
that all
I've
goes
seen
hand in hand.
Belle Marshall, down at, halfway to Raleigh already now. And all he was doing was sitting on the side of the road talking to a county deputy. You know, so it all comes back to what we're talking about is accountability, what elected officials,
I agree.
they can do whatever they want to and you can't do anything about it. You know, you interview a person, you find out that they have good credentials, that they're a good experience, probably without a doubt already post-certified with what the mayor's idea is, a seasoned police officer that wants, might as well call it downsize. No, downsize.
I understand what you're
He
saying.
wants to get away, he knows the job, he's got the experience, but he wants to get away from that rat race of the big city and would be very happy to finish out his career in a small community, even if it's at a lesser salary than what he
You're
was
absolutely
making.
correct.
All those things come into play, but I've only lived in town 13 or 14 years, and the accountability has been pathetic.
I can't deny that, and from what I've heard about prior marshals here, it's been worse than pathetic.
Well, it's more than one, Mark.
Well, I know that,
Yeah, it's
I
been,
know, I've heard about several of them.
so that's another reason, like I said, we feel like this Proposition 1, you know, we feel like this is for the success of our community, and I want our community to grow and thrive, and, you know, all the things. I want my kids to be able to come back here, my grandkids, if they wanna stay around here, I want them to have a place to stay around. That kinda lives and dies with law enforcement. I mean, there's a lot of things.
I agree with that, because right now, we getting a whole lot of, less than proper people in the next town over, bringing all their crime up here.
Yeah.
We are getting a lot of that taken care of with
Slowly but surely, yeah.
the large counties that we have.
That would be an improvement.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt about that.
Yeah, but like I said, from day one, you know, when we sat right here and made that vote, was 2018, 19, it's all kind of run together. We sat right here and made that vote, and my words then were, this is temporary. This is not to be the permanent fix.
I don't think
So-
we went into it being a permanent fix
Right.
from the very start. I think we went into it in the intent of let's clean it up so
Yeah.
that we can manage it.
Right.
We
And-
needed,
and-
we needed to start all over.
Decent people don't wanna come to a community.
No,
uh,
they don't.
If it's not a decent community.
We're not
Exactly.
attractive here. Our school's not attractive. We have no industry here, very, very little industry. And I just worship the ground that somebody opens a little something, I'm just like, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Because that gives us no tax revenue. We are going to the backside, not moving forward.
You need two things to make your town grow. You need a good police department and you need a good fire department.
And a good school department.
Yeah. But that will come when you get the police and the fire department. We got a good fire department. It could be better, I guess. I think it's pretty good. So we gotta improve our police now. Maurice County, I think, has done a good job.
I didn't say they haven't. I'm not gonna disagree with you totally.
I hope not.
No, I wouldn't at all, Ken. But I think, you know, we're already paying twice for the same service, and to me, that's just not right.
How do you say we're paying for it twice?
I'm paying county taxes to the sheriff's department, I'm paying city taxes to the Belle Police Department, who's paying for the county sheriff to come in here and do their job. He's
Yeah.
getting paid twice, and now with the tax, he'll be paid 3 times.
Right, well, okay.
Which I don't have a problem with, as long as it works the way it's supposed to work.
If
You're
you
not
own
paying for it
property,
twice
you're gonna
if you
pay
don't
both
have
of
a
those
city
anyway.
police department.
Okay, so let me slow down on that just a second. Yeah, we're paying county taxes to the sheriff's department. If we were only paying county taxes to the sheriff's department, we would only be getting 10 to 15 hours a month out of them over here. That would be the only time you see them, because that's how it was before. I've lived here for 25 years.
Oh, I'm not denying that, you know.
They would come over, they would bring, you know, they might do, sobriety check once a month. You might see them once every 3 or 4 months, do something like that. You might see them bring the SWAT team over here and do a drug raid every 6 months. Am I tracking on these numbers, right?
I think so.
So, you know, now, and so we had the Belle PD as well, and we know what that was. So now we're paying extra, and we're getting dedicated service. So, you know, instead of getting that 15 or 20 hours a month out of them, we're getting 20 hours a day. And that's a no-brainer. I mean,
Well, I agree with that, and say, my experience is, I was a deputy sheriff in East Tennessee, Sevier County to be exact, okay? Even though we had the whole county, and I was on the drug task force there, whenever we needed something, or the city of Gatlinburg needed something, or the city of Silverville needed something, we went there. Everybody covered everything, except the county covered the whole county, to where the city was in the cities, the 2 different cities, actually it's 3 different cities.
yeah.
We had 3 cities in the county that actually had their own police department. But still, the sheriff's department was there doing the law enforcement duty without being paid. Extra, I'm
Right,
talking.
and yeah, they would, but there are some things that the sheriff's department doesn't do. Nuisance enforcement, they don't wanna touch that, and I don't blame them, honestly.
Dog catcher.
Dog catcher duties, they don't wanna touch that, and I don't blame them.
That's what we need to have, an actual county or something dog catcher, not just for the city.
They're real reluctant with domestic disturbance. They don't like domestic disturbance.
Well, they handle it.
They're handling them
But-
very well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, they're doing their job, they're doing what we're paying them for,
Well, I
and
think
in some cases, they are going above and beyond. But I don't wanna debate that,
Well, I'm sure they are, and I know most of them, so I know they are.
Right.
You know?
I think if you try to broaden that scope any more than what we are here in the city, there's a lot of reports and a lot of information that must go to the state at a certain time, and certain dates. And I think you will lose control over who's responsible, and the buck will be passed on and on and on. That was the problem we had with the existing, the reports were not being made. We were told they were, and they were not going in properly like they should.
Well, and that falls back to the accountability thing, and
Accountability, yeah.
like I said, this is for the growth of Belle. Proposition 1 is, I feel like it's the way to go, I really do, so.
Well, I voted for it in the past.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I'll be 100% honest, I know I've told you guys this before, I voted against it the last time. And my trepidation was that, Alderman sitting on the board at the time, kid might be running around doing some wild things, gets pulled over, hey, let my kid go. Okay, well, if you don't, I'm gonna fire you. We've found out since then, and that's what these other 2 documents are, you can't do that.
No, you can't, because if you try to do that with me as a officer here, I'd arrest you.
Right.
Obstruction of justice, don't think I couldn't do it.
Right, so under state statute, it's not so easy to just get rid of, chief of police not doing what you want him to do. It's not that easy. That was the reason I voted against it, and I'll be 100% honest, I did, and I think my wife did too. For basically the same reason, we just didn't want
There was a buddy system.
control, we viewed it as there would be too much control, but in reality, sitting on this side of the table, that's not the case. I mean, it's not about control, it's about accountability and being able to hold that guy accountable for things.
I understand there's been a whole lot of not accountability for years, for decades, I should say.
Several, yeah, so, the last time we met, there was a gentleman here and he said, man, it should never got to this point. I agree.
I agree
I would
totally.
100% agree with that. We should have got away with that, got away from the elected marshal position a long time ago. But here we are, so. Anyway, that's kind of the hopes, I'm not gonna keep you guys any longer. But yeah, we just wanted, does anybody have any other questions? Comments or concerns, anything? No? Ed, you got anything? You guys live here in town, have you got any kind of? I get it. As a citizen, do you have any?
There's concern on both sides of the coin. Here in my capacity, I don't feel comfortable speaking my opinion.
Okay, I got you. Okay. Anyway, I guess if there's nothing else, nobody else got any other questions or anything, we can go. I don't know, I'm hungry, it's about dinner time. I did, so.
Are you taking
you're not buying lunch?
That's the second time I've been asked that today.
It's meant to be.
Ask her. Bologna?
I went home and had a cheese sandwich.
I took a nap,
You
so.
look like. Mandy, I'm gonna congratulate you on how well you did raising your son.
Oh, you guys are just full of jokes. All right, so I guess really, if there's nothing else, thank you guys for coming again, and have a good weekend. And we'll see you at the polls on Tuesday.
See you Tuesday.